Hey folks, welcome back to the Wikipedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. And today again we will continue with the Securities and Exchange Board of India Act 1992, which is the SEBI Act 1992, right? So if you remember in the previous lecture we were discussing the various characters of our movie, right? Yes, we dealt with the duties and powers, the specific powers of SEBI as per section 11 clause 2. Right? There are a lot more powers of SEBI that we still need to discuss, but we'll be covering, I think, 3 to 4 major powers of SEBI in this lecture, and the remaining will be completed in the next. Right? So today we start with that the board shall have the power to make inspection. So we start with the power of inspection of SEBI, which is section 11 clause 2a. So what this says is actually that SEBI should have the power to inspect any book, any register, any other document or any record of any listed company or any public company which is yet to be listed. Right? With the condition when they have a reasonable ground to believe the indulgence of these companies into any insider trading, any fraudulent or unfair trade practices. Right? So understand what all things are we talking about? We are talking about the books, means the books of accounts. Right? So books of accounts of whom? We already saw in the previous lecture while we were dealing with section 11 clause 2. Over there when we discussed about all the intermediaries, right, we also saw the power that SEBI had related to those intermediaries. So regulating, promoting, preventing, prohibiting, calling information, all these things were already there. Right? So inspecting the books, register, document, record of the intermediaries have already been covered. So now when we are talking over here, we are not talking about the intermediaries. Right? We are talking about inspection of the books of those public companies, those listed companies. Right? Like if there's a big corporation, maybe DLF, Reliance, Tata, and SEBI wants to get in and understand and look into the books or the registered documents, records of these companies. Can they do so? The answer is yes. So when I talk about section 11 clause 2a, then we deal with the SEBI's power related to the listed companies and the public company who are yet to be listed. And how do you know that a public company is like in process of listing? It is intending to be listed by the public issue. So if they are trying to get the public issue out in the public, that means they are planning to get listed. So if you know any company which is planning to get listed and then they indulge themselves into any kind of insider trading, any fraudulent unfair trade practice or stuff like that, SEBI can get into and get an access and inspect their books, records, documents and registers. Right? So when you talk about companies, we're not talking about intermediaries over here. Do you understand the difference between the two sections? That section, the prior section in the previous lecture, dealt only with the intermediaries. And today we are dealing with the companies that if SEBI wants to get in and access the books of the company, it can do so. That is all what this section had to say. Next we have section 11 clause 3, which says that the board, which is the Security Exchange Board of India, shall have the following powers as vested in a civil court under the Code of Civil Procedure 1908 while trying a suit in the following matters. So the matters are like listed over here. I'll list all of them on the screen. So these are certain matters that have been listed, the 5 matters. Right? So what this section actually wants to say, that whatever power is vested in the civil court, right, the judge of civil court under the Code of Civil Procedure, right, when they are trying a suit, they can get the documents, they can get whatever power they have with respect to that suit and the persons involved in that suit, right, it's the same power that is levied upon SEBI. Right? Like number 1, discovery and production of the books of account and other documents. So if SEBI feels, right, that there is something going wrong and SEBI wants to get into understand and investigate, then they can order the discovery of the books. So the company will have to produce their books in front of SEBI. And whatever other relevant documents SEBI required, SEBI can take them and SEBI can call for them. And they will call for those books, records, documents, accounts, where? At the place where SEBI wants and at whatever time SEBI gives. Next, summoning and enforcing the attendance of person and examining them on oath. That is exactly what the civil court does. So anybody who has come for the trial, right, they will summon the person and enforce their attendance, that you have to be present on this date. right? So like the court is adjourned till this date. So on that day you have to be present. The court will not start and the verdict will not be announced unless and until you are there, right? So enforcing your attendance is something again SEBI can do. They're okay, we'll take the case forward once you're there. And then like you know the famous statement, Gita pe hath rakhe kasam khao. The same thing, examining them on oath. Even SEBI can examine them on oath. Then you have the inspection of any books, registers and other documents of any person. Right, so if SEBI wants to get in and inspect the books, so as to understand, right, where are they flowing? They are planning to make an issue. They are giving us some projection. Are they actually getting to that? Are they trying to manipulate something, trying to hide some liabilities, inflate some asset? What are they trying to do? So for that, they need to inspect the books and the registers. So anybody who's referred to in section 12, we'll see section 12 right later. Just understand that we are specifying section 12. So anybody who's referred to over there, their books, registered, document, everything, SEBI can inspect. Right? SEBI can also inspect any book, register or document or record of any listed or public company which intends to get the security listed. Right? That means section 11 clause 2a that we read, right? That apart from intermediaries, if SEBI wants to go ahead and get to some companies, SEBI can get to these companies, the listed companies and the public companies, or the public companies who have not yet been listed but are in process. So SEBI can get into and inspect and understand the records and documents of these companies as well, right? Then SEBI can also issue commissions for the examination of the witness or document. So anybody who's examining the witness that has come, anybody who's examining the documents and bringing out the truth, SEBI can also issue commissions to them, right? So plain simple powers. As civil court can do, they can ask for any document, they can summon, they can enforce attendance, they can get through the books and registers of all the companies, right? They can ask, all the books have come, they can give it to somebody to inspect and give them some fees, commission and all. It's exactly the same thing that SEBI can also do. Getting the point? Next you have section 11 clause 4. The board may take any of the following measure for investigation or inquiry in the interest of investors or market. So basically at this section that it gives out the power of SEBI where an inquiry or investigation is ordered. Right? So if inquiry is going on, investigation is going on, at that point where can SEBI interfere and what can SEBI do? And this is either a pending investigation or a complete investigation. SEBI can still interfere and get to these things. Right? So once the investigation or inquiry has started, the first thing they will do is suspend the trading of any security in the recognized stock exchange. Now what happened? Why is an inquiry or investigation going on? It's because SEBI thinks that this company would be indulged into insider trading, into any fraudulent unfair practices. There are regulations SEBI has set and this company is not following those regulations. So company would want to get into an investigation. And while the investigation is going on, it may take whatever time. If the shares are still traded, if the company is fraudulent, they'll sell off the maximum shares possible and just run away. But that is a very extreme case. On a normal case also, if there is some mishap which is going on, right, then why to trade in that shares? Why to get more people to buy that? Why to get the exchange? Hold it in the place where they are and then SEBI will decide as to what action is to be taken. Right? So first thing SEBI does is SEBI suspends the trading of any security in the recognized stock exchange. Right? Then SEBI can restrain the person from accessing the security market. When you talk about person over here, SEBI is talking about the companies. That okay, you company, you are under investigation, you cannot access the security market. That means you cannot get your shares listed over there, trade in the share or anything like that. No access over there. Further, they also prohibit the person who is associated with the security market to buy or sell the security. Right? I'm still to the second point. Now over here when they talk about the person associated means the intermediaries. In the first place the person is the company, in the second place the person is the intermediary or the broker. SEBI says that these brokers who are associated with the security market to buy, sell or deal in securities, even SEBI can restrain them from getting into action. Third is suspend the office bearers of any stock exchange or self-regulatory organization from holding such position. Now if SEBI thinks that they're not operating properly or there are some internal checks that has to be done, and if the office bearer is still there in office, then there can be a manipulation. So SEBI will suspend the office bearer. Roki, you are no more coming to office. Please move out. So office bearer can be suspended either of a stock exchange or of any self-regulatory organization as well. Restrain the proceeds of any transaction which is under investigation. So if any proceed of any transaction which is under investigation can be freezed. When they say retain, it is actually impound. They can seize, right? So SEBI can seize and retain the proceeds that have come from any security. Security has been sold, right? First thing is they get hold of the security. No trading with intermediaries. If the securities are with intermediaries, SEBI orders the intermediaries not to deal in that. No exchange. Keep it with you. We'll see what to do. Plus the money that has flown in, that money will also be impounded, right? So SEBI will impound that money. That okay, this is the bank account, let me get hold of the proceed. So that the shares are also in hand, proceeds are also in hand, whosoever will have to be settled in the end, SEBI can settle them. So, and this will be done only for the transactions which are under investigation, not the entire thing. It is not necessary that the entire company, all the shares, everything will be investigation. If there are certain transactions where they see there is a problem, then the shares related to that transaction will be held. The proceeds for that transaction will be impounded. Then further they can attach the bank account of persons associated with the security market. Attach means they'll freeze. In our language what we understand is freeze. So SEBI can freeze after passing an order on an application made for approval by the judicial magistrate. So when SEBI makes an application to the judicial magistrate for approval to freeze, and that judicial magistrate will be for the first class court, who has a jurisdiction for a period not exceeding 1 month on one or more bank account. So we can freeze a bank account and one or more bank account, and only those bank account which has been used, I would say. So the proceeds that have come from these trading, that proceeds have to be saved somewhere. So they have been saved in a bank account, and that particular bank account will be frozen. And that can be of any intermediary or any person who is associated with the security market. And then they have also acted in violation of the regulations or the procedures of the act. Getting the point? So people who are actually involved into it, like the intermediaries or anybody like that, right? Those bank account only where the proceeds have been kept will be frozen. Like if I am an intermediary and I get into some sort of an action which is not permitted, right? Or I break the regulation and work on my own, and SEBI thinks no, this is not to be done. The transactions that you have done has to be reversed or something. Then SEBI will first get hold of the shares, and then whichever bank I have saved my account, where the money that has flown in, I have saved it in a bank account, right? That bank account will be locked by SEBI. I cannot access that anymore. SEBI has that right? Then SEBI can direct any intermediary or any person who is associated with the security market in any manner that they will not dispose or in any way alienate any asset forming part of the transaction which is under investigation. So instead of giving out shares or money, I have given some asset so that it can be disposed of and the money can be taken. So that asset will neither be disposed of nor alienated, right? Because the transaction has not been done in cash, it has been done in kind, maybe, whatever can be done. Those assets will also be blocked by SEBI, that you have no more access on this asset unless and until the investigation is complete. The bank account can be frozen for a month, that too after approval from the judicial magistrate of the first class. So you understand that SEBI has a lot of power. Somewhere, yeah, to get to the next extent, to next level, they need some approvals, right? Like in the previous lecture also when I talked about they giving information, take information from abroad, from the institutions and associations abroad. So for that they have to take their approval from the central government also. They cannot just go out and make connection and take the information, right? Central government approval has to be taken. Now all these orders that we have seen over here in section 11 clause 4, there are certain conditions for passing the order, right? So SEBI has to record all the reason in writing why has such an order been passed. Maybe freezing the bank account, holding the securities, or whatever it is, right? SEBI shall pass such order only if it is in the interest of the investor or the security market. SEBI shall also give an opportunity of being heard before passing any such order to anybody. That is the power of SEBI. Able to relate? So in the previous lecture where we were talking only about the intermediaries, today we talk about outside them, even the companies and everywhere, what power does SEBI has? So SEBI has been given vast illustrative powers, right? So far we have seen very little of it. There's a lot more to go. And then when technicalities pop in, the green shoe option and all those things, book building and all, when we come to those topics, the chapter goes very interesting. So we'll end the lecture over here today. I'll get back to you with the next set of the powers in section 11, and then we move forward from section 11 to the other sections, right? So until then, this is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Thank you and bye-bye. I'll see you guys back in the next lecture.